Up next, we have Professor Zuki Zingela, Clinical Head of the Department of Psychiatry based in the Eastern Cape. Professor Zuki Zingela, thank you so much for joining me this evening. How are you?
Hi, I am doing well, thank you. I hope you and the viewers are also doing well.
I am. But during this lockdown, mental health is something that we need to focus on. Can you briefly just tell all of us what it is that you specialize in?
Okay, I am a psychiatrist, that is a doctor who has specialized in treating mental health disorders, and I've got more than 20 years experience in the field, which has been very fulfilling, I must say.
Yeah, and you've come up with a program that helps people cope and adjust to the new living conditions, to this new normal that we are now facing. Can you tell us more about it, Professor?
Okay, so the program is mainly targeted towards our frontline healthcare workers. You know how all of us have been congratulating them and calling them heroes, but we have not really been looking at how they're actually coping with this, because this is asking a lot of them. A lot of people have been asked to stay home, but mental health care workers, or rather frontline healthcare workers, have been asked to put themselves out there despite the risk. So what we said is, let's look at their mental health. Let's look at how we can help them adjust and cope so that when they're hit with the outbreak, they know exactly what to do. And that's literally what we've been doing.
And how are you doing that?
There's a program that we designed, which is very interactive. We invite healthcare workers to come to us in small groups of 8, being mindful, of course, of the lockdown regulations. And it is an interactive program that allows them to practice techniques that we teach them and to apply them during a 1-hour session. And what the program focuses on is any anxieties, fears, or feelings or thoughts that might be interfering with their coping. We actually bring them to the fore, and we then teach them techniques of how to address them, how to cope with them so that they're not overwhelming. And by the end of the program, they walk away with very clear practical skills of how to approach the impending outbreak crisis without necessarily collapsing with it.
That's a great program. Thank you for that, Professor. But for us individuals, who are staying at home and adhering to the rules, we are watching the news every day. We are seeing the COVID cases numbers going up, and we're filled with so much anxiety because it is spreading rapidly. How do we cope at home?
Okay, so the first tip is you have to limit how much contact you make with COVID-19 related news. The second one is to make sure you use reliable resources or sources of information. That will be your National Department of Health, your National Institute for Communicable Diseases. The reason that's important is you avoid all of these WhatsApp messages or other messages that are really scary and not necessarily factual. Keep yourself in touch, but not overloaded. So if necessary, do it maybe first thing when you wake up, maybe lunchtime, maybe evening. That's it. And don't do it for longer than, let's say, 15 minutes. After that, defocus. Look at something that actually brings you hope, that brings you joy. Some people find that looking at things that are funny help them. Some people find that focusing on educational stuff is also working. If you find that you are really feeling cabin fever, make sure you do healthy stuff like, first of all, a normal sleep pattern. Make sure you sleep enough. Secondly, exercise. We cannot emphasize that enough. That is crucial to make sure that you at least make it here. And then in addition, we know you're going to have bad eating habits now and then, but don't do it every day and every hour. Watch what you eat so that you can make sure by the end of the lockdown, you still feel good about yourself and your self-esteem. Lastly, stay connected. So I love what you guys are doing with this channel. If you stay connected and you stay focused on things other than COVID, you're more likely to actually have a better perspective in terms of how you're going to come out, how the world's going to be. It's tough, but it is doable, and most of us will actually make it through this.
Yes, and bakhona abaningi abantu nabo bahlala nama health workers emakhaya wabo. kumele benze njani ukuthi bakhombise support towards them and the great work that they do?
I love that question. I think that's a very good question because remember, your health worker is not under the normal stress. This is over and above the normal stress. So they're being asked to actually put their lives on the line. So at home, what you need to be able to understand is when they walk in, the first thing they will not be able to do is hug you or kiss you the way they usually do. First, they'll have to decontaminate, they'll have to de-stress. So allow them that space without necessarily interfering, knowing that they will also have time for you. If it's mom or dad, make sure you help with chores at home. You actually offer to cook, you offer to do all the things that mom usually does or dad usually does, so that they can actually get a moment to themselves. And where possible, try and make them see how much you care in different ways without necessarily them feeling guilty that they're not spending so much time with you.
Yeah, and within our families, Anjalo, is there fear where contact is involved? You know, I can already
realistic
imagine.
Fear.
Yeah, if no nurse ngihlala naye ngizosaba ukumsondela ngoba angazi ukuthi uyitholile emsebenzini akayitholanga uzoyiletha la endlini. You know, how do we deal with those dynamics?
Exactly. And I think what's important about the question you're asking is the fear is felt by the family, understandably, but the fear is also felt by the health worker themselves. So what is nice about the training we do is we actually target those realistic fears and we actually find a space where the health worker can actually address them and do something about them to make them less realistic, meaning to make them less of a threat. At home, although you understand that your healthcare worker might bring it home, they actually take on extra responsibility to actually protect themselves so that they can protect you. So each health worker knows it is important to actually wear your personal protective clothing or equipment. And if you don't have enough of it, you use what you have. So at home, we make sure that there are enough sanitizers around, there's enough soap, and people get into the habit of washing their hands each and every time. And if necessary that somebody needs to go out there, please wear a mask. The president has already announced it. Even the Minister of Health has already announced it. Wear a mask. It does not have to be a surgical mask. It can be a cloth mask that you make at home. There are many, patterns out there. But make sure you protect others as well. So your question is really important, and I think it can be managed even at home.
Yeah, okay, cool. That's good to know. That's very good to know. As the clinical head of the Department of Psychiatry in the Eastern Cape, and having come up with this incredible program for healthcare workers in the Eastern Cape, is this program only exclusive to healthcare workers in the Eastern Cape, or is it open to all healthcare workers in the country?
Thanks for that question. You know, we only launched it 2 weeks ago, and already we've covered 200 healthcare workers. So the aim is to actually continue covering as much as possible. What I've had recently is I've had contact from, a close friend of mine who's actually asking for sort of similar input in a school setup. So it is possible to actually extend it. The only thing that we have to do is, because we're in the Eastern Cape, we have to find a way of packaging it so that it can be available online. And we're still working on that. It's probably going to take us another week or two, but we're going to get there.
Yeah, because this is new for all of us, and it says adjust to this new normal. So it makes sense. Which isn't as tight as
it makes sense. Exactly. And lockdown COVID-19 gumgoa as well. So the issue is we need to find ways where we are to cope. And this is just one little way we're contributing. And we are saying, because it's a pandemic, it's a crisis, we're more than happy to share with anybody who's willing to actually get in touch with us about how to facilitate these kinds of trainings.
Yeah. And do you have any last words for our viewers, Professor?
Yes, last words are to say, listen, we're a tough nation. We've faced so many tough things out there. We've overcome them. We're still here. COVID will come and go. We'll still be here. So what's important, keep your hopes up, keep your activity levels up, and do not forget, Mzansi is a strong nation. We're going to get there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time and for this great program. You've put our healthcare workers in front, as they should be right now, because
Yes, thank you. And thanks to a great team, both in Mthatha and Port Elizabeth. They are taking this hands-on and they're doing a great job. So I'm lucky that way.
Siyabonga.
Thanks.